What's up, nerds? Welcome to another episode of the Multiverse Report. We are recapping Obi-Wan Kenobi Episode 6 from Jabim to Tatooine and everywhere in between. My name is Mike Gibson. With me, as always, Steve Howler. What's up, Steve?
Well, one hell of a finale for a series.
Yeah. Here's something I'm excited about. I'm excited about talking about this with you because we have not said one word to each other about it.
No, we've not.
Since it came out. Not at all. We haven't texted about it. Nothing.
No.
I could hate it. You don't know.
Oh, yeah.
You don't know.
Yeah.
I don't. I love it.
I had a hunch, just knowing, but yeah, it was there were some minor, faults here and there, but overall
okay.
they brought it home.
Yeah.
I guess the faults not so much for the finale, but just the series as a whole. There were some minor quibbles, but in general, I thought this was a 6-episode arc that really hit the points that Lucasfilm wanted to tell with this and fill in some gaps that we didn't know we needed filled.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think it was 100% perfect from, frame one from the first frame to the last frame or whatever.
Yeah.
But I do think it was awesome, and I loved it.
Oh, yeah.
And I loved it more than some Star Wars movies, for sure. It's like, I'm not sure I might have liked it more than I like Mandalorian. Like, it's up there.
At least parts of it, yeah. At least parts of Mandalorian.
Yes.
The series as a whole, I would probably put it ahead of Mandalorian. That's probably a hot take, but yeah.
It might be a hot take, but...
I can't tell whether that's my love for the characters or my desire to fill the gaps in, but it
doesn't matter.
It works. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Whatever the reason, it doesn't matter.
Yep. Where to begin, Mike?
I know where to begin. I continue to hear people on Twitter mad about like plot holes or whatever,
right?
Or it doesn't completely line up with A New Hope or original trilogy stuff. Like,
I believe you are the one that has said it, so I'll let you say it.
Have you ever seen a Star Wars before in your life? That's the one thing that I say about it. Like, I don't understand people complain about plot holes. Dude, there are plot holes. This whole franchise is riddled with plot holes.
Luke made out with his sister.
Yeah. Yes. Obi-Wan just straight up lies to him and says he doesn't know who R2-D2 is. Like, what? They didn't talk about that at all. They didn't mention that. And he's like, I should lie my ass off to this kid if I meet him in another 8 years.
I don't remember having a droid that was with me through every important facet of the Clone Wars.
I don't remember my best friend's droid who I worked with side by side and addressed by name.
Yeah.
What? No, yeah. There's.
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't recognize him or the one that he built. That my best friend built.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And don't get us started on episode 9. Somehow Palpatine returned. Plot holes? You want to talk about plot holes? Okay, shut up. It's Star Wars. Get over it. That's what it is. That's inherent. Anyway, I thought this was so good. It kind of was exactly as far as it was structured, it was kind of exactly what I thought it was going to be. I thought Obi-Wan was going to have to confront Vader. After that, he's going to have to go save Luke from Reva. And somewhere in there, we're going to get a Qui-Gon cameo.
Right. And all of those things happened.
All those things happened.
But in none of the way I expected them to.
Well, I guess I didn't know how he was going to confront Vader. I didn't know if Vader was going to catch the ship that they were on. But he obviously took a separate ship to distract them, which I thought was great. And who was a friend of mine was just saying this weekend about, or no, was it you? Who was I talking about that loved the Grand Inquisitor? And Oh no, I think it was
Oh,
someone at
in
work. It
the
doesn't
in
matter. So it was
Kenobi.
like, yeah, in
I
Kenobi,
was like, I
and
love him for various other things, but
right,
in
but
Kenobi,
like,
he's like there.
yeah, no, it was a friend of mine was saying he loves the way that he like delivers his lines, and like the character is like so like I was gonna say like making a beeline towards their goals, but that's not true. Like that's more like Riva was doing.
Right.
But and the way the Grand Inquisitor tried to like stand up to Vader, even kind of like he's like fearless, and
Right.
he'll stand up to anybody. Kind of like we can't just go after Kenobi. We this is the entire. He didn't say this, but he's just basically like these people are the beginning of the rebellion. If we crush them, then we can save ourselves a whole lot of future headaches. And Vader's like, we're going after Kenobi. Shut up.
Yeah.
You know, that was awesome. Loved it. I thought it was sad that Obi-Wan had to say goodbye to Leia, but I also thought it was what would have happened. He's not going to take Leia with him. He's not going to do that. Like, he doesn't have to be the one that gets her home.
He just has to make sure she gets home.
He has to make sure that she is safe enough to get home.
Right.
And I thought that was great. And they, it's a great goodbye scene, and she sneaks the droid into his robe, which I thought was great. Which gives him a reason to go back to give it to her later, which is cool. I do like that we got a little reunion, even though kind of like at first I was questioning. I mean, I'm skipping all around now because I'm talking about the ending, but like, so Obi-Wan flew all that way to Alderaan just to say hi to the parents and give the droid back to Leia, and he's not even like staying for dinner. He just got back right on the ship.
Just like, hey, all right, see ya.
Yeah, like I guess if you live in a universe where hyperspace travel is possible, and you can get, thousands of miles away in a half hour, then yeah, sure, I'll pop over to Alderaan.
Right. I mean, I've driven to Albany for a hour meeting and then driven back. So
right? Yeah, exactly.
Like same ballpark.
Yeah. But did you drive to Albany to get out and stand there for 5 minutes and talk to somebody and then get back in the car and drive home? Probably not.
No.
It just seemed like Jimmy Smits would have been like, come on in, have dinner at least.
Right.
But then you get the emotional goodbye, which was great as well, because we know there were a number of times that I teared up in this episode.
Yeah.
And that was one of them when he was saying goodbye to Leia, because I'm going to put this in quotes. We quote unquote know that he does not see her again.
Right.
Until the moment before he dies. He looks over and sees that they have rescued her.
Right.
And then he lets himself go, which I
think to our knowledge, he sees the hologram and then her in the last moment before he gets impaled by Vader.
Besides Vader, I love this. I saw this online a year ago or so, and I never really thought of it. The last thing, besides Vader, the last thing Obi-Wan sees before he dies is the two children that he swore to protect and keep safe, reunited, and about to escape.
Board a ship and escape, yeah.
Board a ship and escape. And that is that's like the inner signal for him that he knows, okay, now my job is done. They are together again, and they are on their own. They can do it on their own. Like, that's just like such a big thing. So him saying goodbye to Leia, knowing that he's not going to see her again until the moment before he dies, was like emotional for me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so we get to besides Obi-Wan talking his way off that ship because they didn't want to let him go at first. They're like, what are you, crazy? But we get to the Vader fight pretty quick, which was great.
Yeah.
I mean, they had a lot to accomplish in this episode, and they did it. I didn't feel like nothing felt rushed, but it felt like it was moving. It was moving real good.
No, and that was I had expected. It's funny because you look at the runtime and you're like, okay, this is X, Y, and Z.
But factor in 8 minutes of Disney Plus credits.
Right. No matter what it is, you take off 7 minutes, call it a day. Yeah. But I was sitting there, I'm like, after the Vader fight, I was literally sitting there like, well, what could they do now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they got right at it. And
they did.
That lived up to every expectation I had. I had no expectations because I had no idea where they were going to take it.
No.
I feel like they built Obi-Wan's connection to the Force back enough that it didn't feel bad that, he's now standing up to Vader.
Right. Yeah. And Vader even says, like, you've regained your strength or something like that. He says. I did think it might have been, I thought the whole rocks thing was like a little much. Not Obi-Wan throwing them. Well, that was a little much too, but I think that was earned. More like him holding himself from being crushed. I don't know. Something about that was like a little much for me. I don't know. I like exploding out of the rocks to go phase Vader again. I mean, it was fine. I don't know. It's very nitpicky of me, and I'm going to watch
it's a
it
Star
again
Wars
and not care. It's a Star Wars, exactly. Yeah, I have forgiven many much worse sins in Star Wars than that. And like then he's throwing rocks at Vader with just his arms out like Jesus. I was like, that's a little much too. I feel like you don't just stand there like Superman or whatever. Like when you're throwing rocks at your former best friend, like you can be a little on the defensive, I guess. Like it seemed like grandstanding, and it didn't seem like Obi-Wan would be like, look at how powerful I am. I'm throwing rocks at you without even you moving my arms or whatever. Right. That seemed a little like grandstandy, I guess. It seemed
very Anakin-y.
Exactly. Yeah, it seemed more showboaty, more Anakin-y than it seemed Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
So that like rubbed me wrong a little, but it was so cool. Like the fight was so great itself, and I gotta say, I was watching. Shout out to a YouTube channel called Heroes Reforged. 3 guys that I do similar stuff, recaps, nerd news stuff that we're doing. I really like their channel. They have a lot of insightful commentary and stuff. They know their stuff, and they were doing an episode by episode. They record themselves watching the episodes.
Okay.
And edit it together, so you're getting their reaction in real time, which is really cool. And so I was watching them reaction to the 5th episode where we got that flashback.
Right.
So I was seeing scenes from the flashback again. I was watching that after I had seen the finale. And I'm pretty sure that some of the moves that they do in that flashback are the same moves that they do in the actual fight. Like when they're back to back and Obi-Wan's like kind of spinning around, like they do that in the sparring flashback. At least that I noticed.
Right.
Now I want to go back and go like frame by frame and like see if they're actually doing it or not.
You talk about like getting emotional. There, like you said, there were numerous points where I was like welling with emotion.
Yeah.
One I didn't expect was when Obi-Wan adopted the Sorosu, like the opening pose with him with the lightsaber above his head, and I was just like, it wasn't that like welling of crying or anything. It was just like chills of like, it's happening.
Yeah, that made me happy.
Yeah, exactly. I was like,
and I don't even know why. I don't like, because he only does that in the prequels. And I'm not a prequel guy, so I wasn't like...
But he also did that in Twin Sons.
He also did it in Twin Sons, which I think is great.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was the only time we see It's the only time we see original trilogy Obi-Wan do that thing.
Right.
But it was like... I don't know, it was enough that made me excited, even though I'm not... That's like... It's not ingrained in my Star Wars love, that little pose. But
that's another testament to Ewan McGregor's performance, even in the prequels. That if you don't like the prequels, he is still like... When I think of Obi-Wan, I think of Ewan McGregor. I don't think of Alec Guinness, as weird as that sounds.
Well, he's played the character in more stuff than Alec Guinness has now.
That's true.
At this point.
And we've seen stylistically, in the Clone Wars, it was seen his visage.
His version of Obi-Wan in all of the Clone Wars at the same time. One episode of Rebels, we get the Alec Guinness version.
Which was phenomenal. But
so good. But he's got more time with the character than anybody else. Maybe whoever voiced him in the Clone Wars. Good. If we're going like if we're actually like clocking the amount of time,
James Arnold Taylor, I believe.
Then James Arnold Taylor might give him a run for his money. But,
if you're talking sheer screen time,
yeah. But other than that, I mean, it's Ewan McGregor. I agree. I agree with you. So I mean, we're there. great lightsaber fight, super cool. Vader's still doing his one-handed stuff at the beginning when he's like, that was awesome.
Well, and that Hayden or whoever, whether it was Hayden or whoever was doing the fight choreography, because if I remember right, Hayden, anytime you see the full suit, it's not Hayden, just because of the height differential.
Oh, really? See, I thought it was him in the suit the whole time.
It was him in the suit for most of everything you see, except for when it's the full version, because he's not tall, per se.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. So the fight scene may not be him, but
interesting.
Like I know, like the flashback definitively, like he's still
got it
choreography wise, but
sure.
The fight very much felt like a combination of old Vader and like the prequel Vader.
Yes,
where
I agree.
You saw some of the flashy stuff, but you also saw that mechanical, the David Prowse-ness, if you will.
Yeah.
It was a very well blended, like seeing that 10 years in between type feel to it.
Yeah, I agree. So Obi-Wan throws a bunch of rocks at him, and then goes after his mechanics of the suit, which I thought was
I'm
awesome.
curious. Yeah, it seemed like when he threw the rocks at him, it like damaged some of the mechanics, and then I don't know if it was something that clicked.
And then he took cue for it or something.
Yeah,
go for it. I've got to smash these.
Yeah,
this weird little square thing on the front of his chest.
Right.
Yeah, that was awesome. And then slices a huge chunk of his helmet off. And I thought, I've said this on every Obi-Wanversation we've had, that I really thought there was going to be a scene where Vader took all of his helmet off, or not all, but maybe like the top part leaves like the mouth breathing part there, because we know that's like a separate thing.
Yeah.
And it didn't quite happen, but I was mostly right. I think there's an opportunity for them to look into each other's eyes,
right?
And it was because there was like a huge cut in the thing, and I thought that was going to lead to Anakin ripping
peeling
the rest
it off,
of the helmet off, but he didn't. It was still different than the Ahsoka fight, where it was just the cracked. That's just like the cracked thing you can see into his eye. But this was like you could see a good amount of his face,
like good. Yeah, probably a quarter of the face mask was gone.
Yeah, head and face. You could see the little scars under his eye that you see in Return of the Jedi.
Yep.
When it takes it off. Yeah,
I was very worried when I saw that happen in real time, just because in my brain I was like, "Oh no, they already did it in Rebels. Like it's gonna feel too similar," and it really didn't. Like
it did not, because they have a whole conversation.
Oh yeah, and Hayden Christensen. Any inkling of him not being a good actor has been rinsed from any memory, because holy shit.
Steve, that scene, best acting in all of Star Wars, but both of them.
Yeah, it might be.
From Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen, I honestly think it might be the best acting, some of the best acting in all of Star Wars. Like, if there's I can't even think of something else that should be on that list right now. But that is on and near the top of that list.
I mean, we've talked about Ewan McGregor's face acting through this whole series, and like how he expresses himself, like just visually through his face.
Yep.
And Christensen did that with a quarter of his face.
Yeah, the way he looks up and says, "Oh, jumping back and forth between the voice." Yeah. That was great. They did a really great job of like.
That was another.
Sometimes you can hear Anakin, you hear Vader, and you hear like something in between, like because of the static, or like it's jumping in between. Like that was really cool.
That was another moment where like extremely emotional, but not like I was like sitting there. I heard that and I'm just getting chills. Like that's just creepy, eerie.
Yep. I'm not your burden, Obi-Wan.
Right.
You didn't kill Anakin Skywalker. I did.
Right.
Wow. I was on the edge of my seat. I was emotional. I was like, I can't believe this is happening. Crazy.
And again, you read that line out of context and you're like, you think it's just phoning it in to tie it into from a certain point of view and all that. But when it's delivered, it was just like, no, that's what Vader is feeling, and
Yeah.
that's like,
Yep.
he's telling him that, and
Yes.
it's absolving Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, okay, I didn't like,
Right.
and that's part of, I think, why he ultimately can walk away,
Right.
as dumb as that is. But like, he doesn't want to kill any inkling of his best friend there
I
again.
know. Yeah.
But yeah, that delivery was just,
Yeah. It was incredible.
and
And
the
I saw.
lighting during that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed, like, it was going back and forth between the blue and the red, and the blue and the
Right.
red.
From those
And
sabers.
then
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
he said that, it's just full Sith, full
Yeah.
red,
Yep.
just
Yellow
like,
eyes.
ugh.
Yep. And I saw a lot of people like online that were like, or I read that people were like, oh, they finally explained why Obi-Wan tells Luke that Darth Vader kills his father in A
Right.
New Hope, and I was like, he already told Luke why he told him that in Return of the Jedi. Like, we didn't. This wasn't an answer that we needed solved. I think they just did
Right.
it because it was a great line. Like, I don't think
Oh
they
yeah, it was a perfect
thought they
line.
needed to say that. Like, they already told us that.
Yep.
Like, in no uncertain terms, Obi-Wan like Luke says, "Hey, you told me this," and Obi-Wan's like, "Well, I told you that because of this."
Right.
Straight up. Like, we don't need that answer.
And
So
it's
anyway,
ultimately the same reason that
and it's the same
line
thing.
says.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Yep.
So then, the response to that line, Obi-Wan starting crying,
Yeah.
and saying, "I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Anakin. Whatever." Or maybe he said that before. I don't remember the sequence. But like, Ewan McGregor's performance in that scene, he's crying. He's so emotional. He can't, like, so incredible. So incredible. And then ends up, realizing his friend is dead, referring to him as Darth, and walking away and not killing him. And is it dumb that he left him without killing him twice?
Right. Yes.
And probably could have saved millions of people's lives. Yes, it is dumb.
Do I totally understand it?
Yes. Yes. Is it more emotional for the story? Yes. Of course, he's not going to kill Darth Vader. He can't kill Darth Vader in that moment because we've seen Darth Vader in A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. We know how Darth Vader dies. It is not from the hands of Obi-Wan. So, of course, he was not going to kill him. Whether or not you thought that made sense, I don't know what to tell you. Of course, he doesn't kill him. You should have known that he wasn't going to die.
Yeah.
But
I
thought they did it very well. I thought they handled it well because you have to give Obi-Wan a reason to not kill him. And like what you just said is that reason. Like, I can't bring myself to end the life of my friend that has come this far or whatever, like has fallen this far. But then, also does absolve him a little bit and kind of frees him open, as we see at the end of the series. He like walks away. He's like not gonna spy on Luke anymore. He's like, he's just gonna be a boy and all that, and you don't need me around. And
right.
Which kind of opens it up for a season 2 of this show, I feel like, because the big reason that I wasn't sure about a season 1 is that, like, well, what good reason could you possibly give Obi-Wan for leaving Tatooine? Oh, you gave me the perfect reason for him to leaving Tatooine. Okay.
Right.
But now, if he's not beholden to watching Luke anymore, if he doesn't feel like beholden to that anymore, then we can do a season 2 of this, and it can be anything. I hope they don't do it without a good story idea, though. I don't want to just to do it without doing it. I don't think they would without a good idea, because otherwise it would just be. He's a big character. You don't want to like do something that's going to ruin any kind of legacy or anything like that.
Yeah. So. No, I mean that. Where do you take it to Qui-Gon, or like Qui-Gon Force? Well, we didn't even talk about that.
No, there's a lot we haven't talked about yet.
Yeah, so we're still there, but like
okay,
season 2.
Well, let's pause.
We'll hold off.
On season 2 then.
Yep.
So then he Force feels that Luke is in danger and speeds back to Tatooine. I mean, if you do want to talk about plot holes that I don't care about, I think it makes no sense that Reva made it to Tatooine before Obi-Wan and Vader were done fighting. Like, that doesn't make sense at all. She was like mortally wounded And how did she get to her ship? How did she fly her ship that fast to Tatooine before Vader and Obi-Wan even started fighting? I don't know. Doesn't matter, because who cares? So she finds the Lars homestead, and man, I loved seeing Owen and Beru just
going ham
and going hard to protect Luke. Like, it was
dude,
great,
Beru finding the freaking
yes,
she was bringing it.
Yeah, I want more Aunt Beru. Give me a kind of reason to give me more Aunt Beru.
Yep.
Because you get the sense in A New Hope, you get the sense that Owen, or at least, sorry, I do. You get the sense that Uncle Owen feels like that Luke is a burden and has been a burden.
Right.
And it doesn't necessarily, like, yeah, I raised, like, I'm looking at, I don't feel any, like, affection for him, really. Like, I don't know. He just seems like a hard guy. And he's had a hard life, I guess. So, you can excuse that. But he just seems kind of like a dick,
Right. Well, and he even comes across that in the beginning of the, like, Joel Edgerton in the beginning of this series comes across like that.
Yeah, you're right.
I would assume intentionally, but
I loved genuinely seeing a showing of love and affection for this boy that they're raising as their own. Like, he even says, Reva says, you raise him as your own. He says, he is my own. Like, he's showing that, he's like, he is mine. I see him as my son.
Yep.
He didn't say that words, but, like, that's what he's saying. And he's fighting, they're both of them fighting so hard for Luke. It was just like, I just love seeing this.
Mm-hmm.
It was just so cool. And, is it slightly flimsy that they're like, oh, it's the Tusken Raiders, and, he just happens to never see the red lightsaber. He just happens to never see that it's a Force wielder, like, that's a little iffy maybe, but it still works. He escapes to the nearby rocks in the Dune Sea or whatever and falls and gets knocked unconscious, so he doesn't see that it's Reva. And it also makes perfect sense that she doesn't finish what she is there to do because she realizes it makes her the same as Vader. And so she does not kill Luke Skywalker. She brings him back to Owen and Beru.
Yep.
And then has a poignant moment with Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan lets her go. And I guarantee you we're going to see her again sometime. We will see her somewhere, for sure.
Yeah. That's the only part that I had mild consternation about, but then kind of came around on it of like, yeah, I get that she's redeemed. I don't 100% buy a lot of it, but at the same time, I get it. Like, it's not enough to make me, like, take me out of the show.
Sure. You want to talk about redemption arcs? I got to say, one thing that this show specifically has made me not buy as much anymore is Vader showing up as a Force ghost at the end of Return of the Jedi. Like, okay, so you are a horrible, horrible monster. Mm-hmm. Not only did you slaughter those younglings in Revenge of the Sith, we see you snapping a child's neck after you murdered his father in this movie without a second thought.
Right.
You are horrible. You are ready to murder. You are just constantly murdering people.
Right.
And loving every second of it. You save one person that is also your son, and that absolves you of all these sins, and you get to be a Force ghost at the end of it. Like, I don't know about that. You're a bad guy, dude. I don't know. I don't know if your one selfishly motivated act of kindness at the end of Return of the Jedi completely redeems you for all of the murder that you enjoyed doing in your life as a Sith.
that you've enjoyed doing.
Yeah.
Just, chalk it up to...
Right.
Yeah. He was just crotchety. And
so if you're okay with Vader's redemption arc, then you should be okay with Reva's at the same time, I think.
Yeah. That's... Yeah, in hindsight, now that you see that, you see, like, the end scene of Rogue One where he's just mercilessly cutting through the world.
Exactly. Yes.
And you're just like, not great.
Yeah. And even you see him slaughter a whole village of Tusken Raiders in Attack of the Clones.
Even the children.
And then all through Clone Wars, you're like, oh, he's a good guy.
Right.
Wait a second. He's not. Didn't we just see him murder a ton of innocent people?
Right.
How am I supposed to care about this guy? Anyway, plot holes. They're all over the place, people.
Right.
Don't get mad about them. It's Star Wars. Let it go. Let it go. Let it wash over you.
Mm-hmm.
So then we get Obi-Wan packing up his little cave and going to say goodbye to Owen, bringing that little ship that he gives to Luke that we see Luke playing with in New Hope. That is awesome. And the part that I probably got maybe the most emotional was Obi-Wan meeting Luke Skywalker for the first time. And, of course, saying his special hello there line.
So perfect.
We could have gotten a number of other times in this show, and we didn't. And, of course, we didn't because they were saving it for the absolute perfect moment of him meeting Luke for the first time, which makes total sense. Luke knows that there's an old hermit named Ben Kenobi out in the desert, and when Ben wakes him up after being knocked out by the Sand People, he says, Ben Kenobi? Like, he recognizes him.
Yeah.
So, it's not a plot hole that he's met Luke Skywalker. Like, that's clear that they should have met before.
And he did get to give him the T-16.
And he got to give him the T-16. Yeah. Man, I love that show. I am very excited to rewatch all 6 episodes as if it was one long movie, like in my own house. I'm very excited to rewatch it.
Yeah.
So then he rides into the desert, and what's the last thing that happens in this show? We get Force Ghost, Qui-Gon Jinn, Liam Neeson back, this time with his Irish accent, not doing a British accent, Irish accent in full force. We all thought that he was going to come back, and he did not disappoint. He did say, he did talk about returning as Qui-Gon Jinn. Said something like, I certainly didn't want anyone else playing Qui-Gon Jinn, and I wanted to show my respect for George Lucas and that mythical world that he created. Plus, Ewan McGregor is a pal. I loved working with him during The Phantom Menace 25 years ago. So he was always on board. I don't think there was ever a chance that he wasn't on board, considering that he voiced the character in Clone Wars and all that stuff. Like, he wants to do this, and I think he looked exactly the same. He didn't look any older.
No.
Maybe it was the Force Ghost effect, but I was like, wow, he looks exactly the same.
Right. Apparently his particular set of skills from the Taken movies is not aging.
Yeah.
Because that was, it was like,
I think that's what it is.
In my brain, I was like, did they just CGI that in? Like, yes, they did with the Force Ghost thing. However, I was like, that's eerily Qui-Gon.
Yeah. Yeah. So then he rides off into the desert, and is it possible we could get a season 2? Yes. Do I want one? Not necessarily, unless they have a really good idea. I trust that they won't make one unless they have a really, really good idea.
Yeah.
And something that would make sense and not interfere with Obi-Wan and his future trajectory.
Go find Quinlan.
Yeah.
I want a live-action Quinlan Voss.
I'm honestly, even more than a season 2 of Obi-Wan, I can see Obi-Wan showing up in another show.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Like, maybe, because we got a rumor this week that there was going to be a Cal Vistus? Is that his name?
Kestis.
From Kestis? Yeah, from Fallen Order, a show about him with the actor that played him in the video game.
Right, because everything in the that's all mocap from him and like him in all those cutscenes.
Yeah. What's his name? Cameron something? Maybe? He was on
Monaghan?
Monaghan? Maybe? Yeah, that's it.
I want to not say that because I keep thinking of Dominic Monaghan from Lord of the Rings and The Wire and all that. But
right. But I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think it's a similar name. But I don't know. At the end of that, end of Fallen Order, they're going after like Force-sensitive people. I feel like it could tie in for an Obi-Wan cameo or something, like he could show up somewhere else. But yeah, I guess you never know. Both Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen have said that they would return for more if they were asked. And we know Hayden Christensen is going to be in the Ahsoka series in one way or the other. So we shall see. And there's always a chance we get a flashback to Clone Wars era in the Ahsoka show with both Anakin and Obi-Wan. That would be cool.
Yeah, that would be.
That would be very cool. But I think that's all I got to say about Obi-Wan Kenobi finale. Anything else that we missed? Did you want to talk about?
Off the top, no. That seems like it was, about as in depth as we could possibly go on that.
Yeah, I think we did it.
Yeah, I think we done did it.
Yeah. Plus, it's late, so I want to go to bed. We started late. Oh, but I gotta say, we recorded a whole other our general nerd news weekly wrap up. We did that, so check your feed for that. If you're listening to this, don't miss that. Other wrap up stuff, some cool stuff we're talking about there, and something else I was just gonna say, and I forgot what it was.
Was it follow us on socials at the Multiverse Report? Follow us on Twitter at Multiverse RPT?
Sure.
Maybe email us at themultiversereport@gmail.com.
Maybe rate and review our podcast.
That could be a good one too.
Yeah.
I think those are things you should do.
I think those are the things. So do all those things. Go listen to our other episode, and yeah, that's all. So until next time, I guess there is no next time unless they announce a season 2 of Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Right.
But as far as our regular show goes, we will see you next week, another episode of the Multiverse Report. So until then, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time in the multiverse.
Okay. Jesus. Seriously. Worked out in hindsight.